Hey there, welcome back to Rev Render Garage. What we're doing is we're going to be cadding up the Speedo case for this right here. It's a speedometer for a Gen 5 as well as a Gen 4 Maddogs scooter. And the mounting brackets for this, I don't have one handy here, but it mounts it off center. So here's the center of your handlebars, and it's either sitting this way or it's sitting this way. Well, I decided let's create a case for it so we can slide it in there. Something that looks nice, hides all of this. Let's get into cadding up the Speedo case first, and we'll do the end cap for it after that, and then the Speedo mount. Anyhow, let's get cadding. All right, before we can actually get started cadding, what we need to do is just take some quick measurements. We have almost 90 on the nose, and now if we look here, 100 millimeters even. Okay, now that we've taken our measurements and we know what this thing needs to be as far as the diameter of it and the height or depth, whichever way you want to think about that, let's CAD it up. And I'm not going to get too detailed into Fusion 360, but that's the CAD software I've been learning how to use, and by no means am I an expert, but I have a lot of fun designing things in it. Alright, so let's save this, and we will get to making the actual speedometer mount. Okay, here we are starting on the speedometer mount, which will actually be cut out of metal, and then we will bend it to shape and powder coat it up and use that to mount the speedometer casing onto the bike. Okay, now that we have the piece all cut out, we are going to take this and use this to start making our measurements, so we can CAD this up and print out a prototype. So the first thing we're going to want to do is just figure out how tall this thing is. 170, 64, 42. From this tip up to here is 16. See where this top hole is? 16. This is going to be our chord slice, 40. Let's see how thick these are, and actually the diameter of the hole too, 16. A little pathway to get it to the cord hole, 10 millimeters. These holes right down here, 19 millimeters apart. I'm sorry, 20 millimeters apart. Now that we've got all of our measurements, let's go CAD this up. What we're going to do now is save it, export it, and get it in the format so we can print it out and prototype the mount. So we'll do that next. All right, now that we have got everything CADed up and designed, the next thing we want to do is get it prepared for the 3D printers. And so what you're looking at right here is the Creality print software, and this is what I use to load the exported STL files from Fusion 360, and then I can slice them and export them. Now we have got all three of our items prepared for the 3D printers. So let's go start printing these, and we'll be able to put these prototypes together and see if they work. All right, we have successfully designed, CADed, and printed out all three pieces that we need for the speedometer conversion. We have our speedometer case, we have our end cap, have our speedometer mount, which I have scored so we know where the bends need to occur. And at this point, we're just going to try and figure out what measurements, what angles we need to make this sit correctly. That is literally perfect. So I'm going to keep these bends just like they are. The only thing I need to do is just bend this down slightly. So I will do that and take that into account when I finish the measurements for the angles. But at this point, we are ready with all of our parts, minus the fact that we just need to get one of these mounts made in metal. So we'll get that cut out on the plasma table, and then we'll get it bent correctly in the metal brake. And at that point, I think all we need to do is powder coat it and we have everything we need to start assembling the speedometer conversions for these Maddogs. Now that we have everything ready to go, the next thing we need to do is get this stuff down to the South shop so that Shane and Austin can start taking advantage of these things and getting the Speedo conversion done on that red Mad Dog down there. The beauty of 3D printing is that I sent the file to him as soon as I was done with it. He's already got case printed out, ready to go. The only thing that we really had to get down there physically was the metal mounts that we designed here. So now what I did is I cut these out on our plasma table here and got them bent up and had a couple delivered down to the South shop. So let's get down there and see what Shane and Austin are doing with this Speedo conversion. I'm excited.
Here we got a Gen 1 Mad Dog. I got 2 of them, and we're currently converting this one to a digital cluster. So we got this one. This is for the speedometer. We'll go more into detail about this stuff in the future. Just made an extension harness to get it up to the speedometer. Has a wiring to the speedometer's not long enough.
It's got a 3D case that my brother cadded up, and then we 3D printed them up. Printing a new end cap that's the right size right now. Yeah, we're having to extend the harness wires off of this new Speedo, so we're not seeing these big white ugly plugs in between the back of the speedometer case and the battery box.
They'd be too short inside that casing, so these plugs to be sticking out right here. So it's extending these wires to get the plugs inside the box.
Yeah.
So this is the mount that comes on it right here. What he came up with was a flat piece that then got bent. Since then been powder coated. I powder coated it the other day black. I'm going to show you how it all goes together here. There you go. This mounts right onto the handlebars. I'll show you in a second. Allows your speedometer to sit at the perfect angle. Your bars don't get in the way of anything. So I'll show you that here. All right, so this is a scooter we're doing the upgrade on. You can see right there, those are the holes, the mounting holes for this. So like I was saying before, if you were trying to use the bracket right here that came with that mount, your Speedo's going to be off-centered, whichever hole you use. That's why this bracket was designed, and the mount to hold the Speedo. I'm going to mount this up really quick so you can get an idea. All right, so you can see I've got this mounted up now. I've only got one screw holding it in right now because I do need to remove it again to repin one of the wires and one of the plugs. But now you can see this elongated wire harness we made is now long enough to actually fit down into the battery box where it will live the rest of its life happily ever after. That right there is why you need one of these mounts, one of these enclosures, and an extended wire harness. Because that, my friends, looks pretty badass. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure to share our channel with all your friends. Exciting content coming every week from Rev Render Garage.